Just like independent cinema masterpieces, some TV series are unsettling, philosophical, and disturbingly quiet. If you're tired of modern streaming platforms and craving something truly different, this video is exactly what you've been looking for. Today, we're diving into 7 mind-bending unpopular series, hidden gems that push the boundaries of morality, time, and existence. We start with Les Revenants, The Returned, from France in 2012. Picture this. Your daughter died 4 years ago. You grieved, you suffered, you learned to live with the hole in your life. And then one day, she walks through the front door. Same age, same clothes, same memories. She doesn't know she died. This isn't a zombie show. There's no gore, no infection, no apocalypse. These dead people return exactly as they were. They're hungry, they're confused, they want to go home. And that's what makes it so philosophically devastating. Because grief only works if death is permanent. We build entire philosophies around the finality of death. We find meaning in loss. We learn to let go. But what if death isn't final and the person you buried comes back? Are you allowed to be angry? Are you allowed to be afraid? Do you even have the right to your own grief anymore? The series explores this with brutal honesty. Some people welcome their dead back with open arms. Others see them as violations of the natural order. And some realize that they preferred the dead person to stay dead, which is a horrifying thing to admit about someone you claim to love. One character says something that cuts deep. If death can be reversed, then what is life? If anyone can come back, then what's the value of being here right now? The series doesn't answer this. It just watches as entire communities tear themselves apart, trying to figure it out. Hollywood made a remake. It failed, because they tried to add answers, tried to explain the mystery. The French version understood something crucial. Some questions shouldn't be answered. They should just exist, like a splinter in your mind. For the second series, we go back to 90s. The Kingdom, or Rige in Danish, created by Lars von Trier between 1994 and 1997. Imagine walking into a hospital, white walls, the smell of antiseptic, doctors in their white coats, confident, rational, scientific. Now imagine that same hospital is built on ancient marshland, where bleaching ponds once existed. Imagine that the building itself is alive, not metaphorically alive, actually alive. This is where Trier does something brilliant. He takes the ultimate symbol of modern rationality, a hospital, and turns it into a battlefield between science and something older, something that science refuses to acknowledge. The doctors walk through corridors where time behaves strangely. They perform surgeries while invisible forces watch. They trust their instruments while reality itself starts to bend. One character, a Swedish doctor, represents pure scientific arrogance. He believes in nothing but what can be measured, tested, proven. And the series slowly, methodically destroys that worldview. Not by proving him wrong with logic, but by showing him things that simply shouldn't exist. Here's the question Trier really asks. If science can explain everything, why are we still afraid? Why do rational people, educated people, doctors and scientists, still feel that primal terror when they walk down a dark hallway? What do they know that their training won't let them admit? The Kingdom feels like Twin Peaks, but darker, more disturbing. Because David Lynch gave you quirky characters and cherry pie to soften the blow, Trier gives you nothing, just the slow realization that the world operates on rules we don't understand and maybe never will. But if you want pure philosophical horror, nothing beats our third series. The Booth at the End, 2010. An American independent miniseries that almost nobody watched. Here's the entire setup. A man sits at a table in a diner. He has a notebook. People come to him. They tell him what they want. He gives them a task. If they complete the task, they get their wish. It's that simple. Except the tasks are morally horrific. A mother wants her son to recover from a coma. The task? Kidnap a child. A man wants to be reunited with his lost love. The task? Rob a bank. A woman wants to be beautiful. The task? Kill someone. The man at the table doesn't judge. He doesn't explain. He just writes in his notebook and waits. And here's what destroys you. The tasks work. They actually work. Complete the task, no matter how evil, and you get exactly what you asked for. This series is a thought experiment made visible. How much evil would you commit for something good? If you could cure your dying child by hurting someone else's child, would you do it? And here's the real knife twist. The man at the table never forces anyone. They choose. They always choose. One character tries to refuse, tries to find another way. And the series shows in excruciating detail how desperation slowly erodes morality, how we tell ourselves stories to justify the unjustifiable, how we become the very thing we swore we'd never be. The whole series takes place in one location, minimal budget, maximum psychological damage. Because you're not watching characters on screen, you're watching yourself. You're asking yourself what you would do, and the answer terrifies you. Now let's go to Hungary, where they created something that makes Breaking Bad look optimistic. Aranyélet. Golden Life from 2015. On the surface, it's a crime series, a family running an illegal business empire, but underneath it's asking something much darker. Is family a moral refuge or the center of corruption? We're taught that family is sacred, that blood is thicker than water, that we protect our own. But what if your own are monsters? The family dinner table is where crimes are planned. What if love and loyalty are just words we use to justify protecting people who should be in prison? The patriarch of the family believes he's a good man. He provides for his children. He builds businesses. He solves problems. The fact that his solutions involve violence, bribery, and exploitation doesn't change his self-image. He's just doing what's necessary. He's just protecting his family. And his children. They see everything. They know what he is, but they benefit from it. They live in nice houses, drive nice cars, enjoy the money that comes from other people's suffering. Are they innocent because they didn't pull the trigger? Or are they guilty because they knew and did nothing? The series asks, do good people really exist? Or are we all just criminals who haven't been caught yet? Is the only difference between a businessman and a gangster the quality of their lawyer? It's comparable to Breaking Bad, but more nihilistic, more European. Because Walter White got a diagnosis that pushed him over the edge. The family in Aranyélet doesn't need that excuse. They just are what they are. And maybe, the series suggests, so are we. Speaking of things that shouldn't exist, let's talk about a German series that almost nobody outside Europe knows about. Heimat 2, Chronicle of a Generation, from 1992, created by Edgar Reitz. This is the second part of the Heimat series, but you can watch it on its own. And what makes it devastatingly brilliant is that it doesn't look like what it is. On the surface, it's about young people in 1960s Germany. Art students, musicians, activists, trying to find themselves in a country still haunted by what it did. But this is something much darker, because these young people are growing up in the shadow of the Holocaust. Their parents were Nazis, or collaborated with Nazis, or looked away while Nazis did what they did. And now these kids are trying to be good people, trying to build a better world. But the question lingers like smoke. Can you be good if you come from evil? Here's what Reitz does that destroys you. Each episode opens a separate moral rift. A character makes a choice. They compromise their values for success. They betray a friend for an opportunity. They stay silent when they should speak. Small moments, barely noticeable. And Reitz just watches. He doesn't judge. He doesn't explain. He just shows you how guilt accumulates like dust until you can't breathe. The series reveals that atrocity doesn't always come from monsters. It comes from normal people who make small, rational choices that add up to horror. The father who joins the party to keep his job. The mother who stays quiet to protect her children. The neighbor who reports someone because it's easier than defending them. Reitz said something that explains everything. I'm not telling history. I'm observing the wounds history has inflicted on people's souls. And that's what this series is. Now let's visit the Czech Republic for something that will change how you think about evil. Pustina, The Wasteland, 2016, from HBO Europe. A girl goes missing in a small town. Police investigate. Suspects emerge. It should be a standard crime thriller. But it's not, because the series is about revealing that everyone is guilty. Not guilty of the specific crime, guilty of the atmosphere that made the crime possible, guilty of the silence, guilty of looking away, guilty of knowing something was wrong and doing nothing. The town is economically devastated, factories closed, young people leaving, hope dying, and in that decay, small cruelties become normal. People betray each other for tiny advantages. They hoard resources. They turn on neighbors. They create an environment where violence is inevitable. So, when the girl disappears, who's really responsible? The person who took her? Or the entire community that created the conditions where someone like that could exist? The series whispers something that makes your skin crawl. Sometimes evil is an atmosphere, not a person. It's the collective weight of 1,000 small moral failures. It's what happens when everyone is innocent of the specific act, but guilty of the general condition. One detective says, "If everyone is innocent, who is guilty?" And the series never answers, because maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe guilt is about collective responsibility. Maybe we're all complicit in every crime that happens in our community. Finally, let's talk about madness, because our last series will make you question your own sanity. The Third Day, 2020, from BBC and Sky. A man travels to an island, a small island off the British coast. He's grieving. He's lost. He's looking for meaning. And the island offers him exactly that. A community, a purpose, a ritual that promises to explain everything. But the island operates on different rules. Time moves strangely. The same day seems to repeat. Conversations circle back. People appear and disappear. And slowly you realize something. Either the man is going insane or the island isn't part of normal reality. The series draws from Carl Jung's idea of the collective unconscious, the theory that beneath our individual minds, there's a deeper layer where all humans are connected, where ancient symbols and primal fears exist independent of culture or education, and the island is a place where that collective unconscious is real, physical, touchable. Paganism is alive on this island. The rituals aren't performances. They're technologies for accessing something older than Christianity, older than civilization, older than human memory. And here's what destroys you while watching. You start to feel it too. That sensation that something is wrong, that time isn't moving correctly, that the people aren't quite real, that maybe you're the one on the island. Maybe reality has always been this thin, and you're just now noticing. The series gives you this creeping realization. What if madness is just seeing reality without the filters we normally use to protect ourselves? If you're brave enough to watch, you'll see worlds where morality is ambiguous, time is fluid, and reality is never what it seems. Thank you for watching.